All right, ready for another deep dive? Today, we're going to tackle Indian income tax.
Oh, yeah.
We've got that income tax department user manual.
Huh?
Think of it as like your cheat sheet to understanding their whole system.
Yeah.
We're going to break it down for you, highlight all the need to knows, and hopefully find a few surprises along the way.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so right off the bat,
Yeah.
I noticed just a ton of contact info, right at the beginning.
Yeah, right away that struck me too. All those different departments, the specific phone numbers. It's like they know. They're ready for a ton of questions.
Yeah, it's like they're bracing themselves, right? Oh boy, here it comes. But then I also saw they've got extended hours listed for November 29th and 30th.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What do you think that tells us about maybe how they're thinking about this upcoming filing season?
Well, I mean, considering that's right before a major filing deadline in India, I'd say they're probably getting ready for just a massive influx of inquiries and last-minute filings. So extending their hours like that, it's probably just a way to kind of manage all that, make sure everyone's getting the help they need.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about it that way, but it
Yeah.
makes total sense. And then I was kind of blown away by the dedicated sections they've got on their website for all the different types of taxpayers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're talking salaried employees, businesses,
Right. Yeah.
senior citizens, non-residents, HUFs.
Yeah.
They even have sections for domestic and foreign companies.
It really does show you just how comprehensive the Indian tax system is. It's not just like a one-size-fits-all approach. They're really recognizing that each of these entities has its own needs and complexities, and they're trying to provide tailored guidance for each one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, but here's where I got really intrigued. There's this whole section on the View and Submit Compliance User Manual. And it's like a 2-for-1 deal. It covers both the compliance portal and the reporting portal.
Oh, right, yeah. And both of those are really important. They each have their own specific role. So the compliance portal, that's basically your central hub for managing everything tax related with the department.
Okay.
So that's where you would find your annual information statement, those e-campaigns that we saw mentioned earlier, e-verification tools, pretty much everything you need to make sure you're meeting all your obligations.
Okay, so let's unpack that compliance portal a little more. The manual mentions something called e-campaigns. Can you give us a little more info on what those are about?
Sure. So imagine you're going through all your tax documents.
Yeah.
And you realize, you forgot to declare some interest income you had from a fixed deposit. Now, instead of, the IT department coming down on you with a surprise audit or something, they might use an e-campaign to kind of nudge you a little bit. Hey, we noticed something that might not be quite right. Maybe you should double check your filings. It's a much less intimidating way to deal with these things.
That's actually super helpful. I mean, it gives you a chance to fix any mistakes you might have made before they become bigger issues. And then what about e-verification? I'm guessing that's about confirming your identity and making sure all the information you gave is accurate.
Exactly. It's all about ensuring that everything in the tax filing process is legitimate. They even have a whole section on DIN authentication, which is specifically for company directors. So that's about making sure the right people are accessing and managing all that sensitive company information.
Okay, it seems like they're really trying to make all of this as user-friendly as possible, especially with those step-by-step guides they've included.
Absolutely. They walk you through everything from logging in to navigating the dashboard to accessing all those specific features. And the AIS, your annual information statement, that's like your own personalized financial snapshot.
Okay, so the manual highlights that it includes information on taxes paid, demands, refunds, even pending or completed legal proceedings. So it's more than just your income and deductions then.
Right. It's like a comprehensive record of all your interactions with the IT department. And that can be really important because it can help you avoid any discrepancies with their data, which could potentially save you from penalties or audits down the road.
Wow, that's incredibly valuable. It really puts you in control. You have a clear picture of your tax situation so you can proactively address any potential issues.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It really gives you that peace of mind.
For sure. Okay, so speaking of transparency, I was looking at the e-proceedings section, and I was wondering, what exactly does that involve?
Well, basically, it's the online space.
Yeah.
For any kind of formal tax inquiries or even legal proceedings. So instead of having to deal with mountains of paperwork and, letters going back and forth. It's all handled electronically.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it means things get resolved faster, there's a clear record of all the communication, and it's just way less hassle for everyone.
Yeah, that's a huge plus for sure. So it streamlines the whole process, but it also creates that audit trail.
Right,
It's
exactly.
got to be a relief for both sides,
Yeah.
the taxpayer and the tax department.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? To make things even easier, the manual mentions that the compliance portal actually gives you alerts about any active e-campaigns or e-verifications right there on your dashboard.
Oh, wow. So it's like having a personal assistant,
Yeah, kind of.
keeping you updated on everything.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Okay, so now that we've got a pretty good handle on the compliance portal, I'm kind of curious about its counterpart, the reporting portal. What kind of information are we talking about here?
So the reporting portal is a bit more specialized. It focuses on specific entities and transactions that need to be reported to the IT department. So, for example, banks might report high-value transactions through there. Companies would disclose certain investments, and individuals with foreign income, they would also use this portal for reporting.
Got it. So it's less about like general tax filing for individuals
Yeah.
and more about meeting these specific requirements.
It's like another layer of the tax system that makes sure everyone's staying compliant and transparent.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the manual doesn't go into too much detail, but it does mention something about reporting entities furnishing specific statements through the portal.
Right.
Any idea what those entities might be?
Well, it could be a pretty wide range, really. Think about organizations that handle a lot of financial transactions or have unique reporting obligations. So we're talking banks, financial institutions, corporations even, trusts, and nonprofits.
Okay, so it sounds like the reporting portal is playing a key role in tracking and regulating different aspects of the whole financial ecosystem.
It definitely adds another dimension to the IT department's oversight. And remember, all of this is accessible right through your e-filing account.
Oh, that's right. They've integrated everything into one platform.
Yep.
So convenient. You can manage everything online. No need to juggle different websites or platforms.
It's pretty impressive. This level of integration, I mean, it definitely makes things easier for the taxpayer. But it does make you wonder about the challenges the IT department must face in managing such a complex system.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Things like data security, privacy concerns,
Yeah,
making sure everything's working smoothly across all those platforms. It's a massive undertaking.
that's a really good point. It's easy to focus on how user-friendly it is from our perspective.
Yeah.
But we can't forget about all that behind-the-scenes work
Right.
that goes into making it all seamless.
Absolutely.
It really makes you appreciate the scale and complexity of what they're dealing with.
It really does.
And it highlights just how crucial technology is in modernizing these government services.
For sure.
Speaking of which, what happens when something goes wrong? I mean, they provide a lot of contact info, but is there a dedicated support system within the portals themselves?
That's a good question. And one that the manual doesn't really address directly. But the fact that they offer those extended hours during those peak filing periods makes me think they're anticipating a certain level of user error or confusion.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Let's be honest, we've all struggled with a complicated online form at some point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it's reassuring to know they're ready to help when needed.
I mean, they've clearly put a lot of effort
Yeah.
into making these portals intuitive and easy to use, but there's always going to be a learning curve.
Definitely, especially with something as nuanced as tax law.
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more advanced support features in the future as technology keeps evolving.
Like what?
Maybe AI-powered chatbots that can answer basic questions, or even virtual assistants to guide you through specific processes.
That would be pretty cool. All right, so we've explored both the compliance portal and the reporting portal, and it's clear that the Indian Income Tax Department is making some serious progress
Yeah.
in using technology to make things more efficient and transparent.
Yeah, we've only just scratched the surface. But this deep dive has given us a good foundation for understanding the core functions of the system and the IT department's efforts to modernize tax administration.
And that's what it's all about, giving you, the listener, a clearer understanding of how things work. But here's a question to think about. With so much information being handled digitally, how does the IT department ensure the security and privacy of all that taxpayer data?
That's a really important point, especially with all the cyber threats out there these days.
Oh,
It
yeah.
makes you think about their data encryption protocols, access controls, all the safeguards they have in place to prevent unauthorized access or breaches.
Yeah, it's a whole other conversation in itself.
Absolutely, a topic that deserves more attention for sure.
It definitely does. And this deep dive has left me with one last thought. While these portals are amazing, and they offer so much information and helpful tools, they also assume a certain level of digital literacy from the user.
That's true.
Not everyone is equally comfortable navigating online platforms or dealing with complex digital systems.
Right.
So it makes you wonder about accessibility and whether enough is being done to support those who might struggle with the technology side of tax compliance.
That's a really valid point. It's definitely something to consider, especially as we move towards a more digitalized tax administration system.
Yeah, it really makes you think about how important it is to make sure everyone has access to these digital tools.
Yeah, you don't want anyone being left behind.
Right, exactly. But on a more positive note, I do think it's great how much progress the IT department has made in making this system more user-friendly and transparent.
Oh, for sure.
Remember those extended hours we talked about earlier? I think it shows they're really trying to be more available and responsive to taxpayers' needs.
Yeah, and the amount of detail they provide in that manual is really helpful. They're not just telling you what to do, they're actually walking you through it, step by step.
It really is like having a guide right there with you, helping you through all the ins and outs of Indian taxes.
Exactly, and that's got to make a big difference for people.
Yeah, for sure. So overall, I think they're definitely moving in the right direction.
Okay, so to wrap things up, we've taken a deep dive into the Indian Income Tax Department's user manual. We've explored the compliance portal, the reporting portal, and we've seen how they're really leveraging technology to make things more efficient, more transparent, and just easier to use.
Yeah. And we've also talked about some important things to keep in mind, like data security, digital inclusivity, and the need for strong support systems.
As India continues to embrace digital transformation, it's going to be really interesting to see how these systems evolve to meet the changing needs of taxpayers.
Definitely something to watch.
So the key takeaway for you, the listener, is to stay informed, use these systems proactively, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
Yeah, good advice.
Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to taxes. And who knows, maybe we'll revisit this topic again soon as things continue to develop. But until then, happy filing, everyone.